Medusa piercings, pros, cons, advantages, disadvantages. Going to give you 5 of each coming up next on Pros and Cons by a Piercer, episode number 42. So stick around. For those that are new to the channel, my name is Dave O. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located in wonderful Des Moines, Iowa, inside the Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So when I talk to you about these things, I'm talking to you at a level of expertise as someone who's performed this particular piercing a number of times and helped people through the healing process. So now let's go into exactly what a Medusa is. A Medusa is a piercing usually done, well, almost always done, primarily should be done, with a labret stud going straight through the upper lip and that kind of indentation top part of your upper lip, done perpendicular or trying to do it at least dead center as much as possible to give it that illusion that it's in the middle of it. Now, with that description out of the way, let's move on to the pros, the advantages of this particular piercing. The first one being is that it has a long history of healing without issue. It's a fairly quick heal, usually about 8 to 12 weeks. Number 2, unlike piercings done on your lower lip, where there's a lot more movement, with the upper lip piercings, they tend to not move around as much. Everybody's different. Everybody makes their expression slightly different. Everybody has their own unique little smiles and etc. And your piercer should kind of go through that process during the consultation before marking and etc. However, it doesn't have as much contact in most cases as lower lip piercings do. Number 3, there is a large variety of different ends that you can put on this jewelry to make the look change, in some cases very drastically. The jewelry, you're kind of stuck with that labret style, but there is a lot of different designs as far as what you can put on there, from really ornate diamond and gem settings down to just plain silver balls. Number 4, fairly quick healer. Kind of already said this, but this piercing does heal pretty rapidly, roughly about 8 to 12 weeks. Number 5, unless you're one of those people that sleeps flat on your face, this piercing will not affect sleeping as much as other piercings on your face and ears and etc. It's just not going to interrupt it as much. With the pros out of the way, let's move on to the disadvantages, the cons. Number 1, with any oral piercing, there is a risk to enamel erosion, gum erosion, and softening of the bones inside your mouth. Regardless of how well it's placed, no matter how correct the jewelry is, this is always a risk. And you should consider that before you get any piercing that is in your mouth or connects into your mouth. Goes into your mouth or is actually in your mouth. An oral piercing. Number 2, you're limited to labret jewelry. Labret jewelry, if you're not familiar with it, is, put a photo here, a flat disc on one side, a post, and then a ball that screws onto it or other end. You can't really put rings or anything else in this because of the location and the tightness of the area. Anything else is going to increase, go back to number 1, risk of enamel erosion, gum erosion, softening the bones inside your mouth. Number 3, these piercings close very rapidly. Anything that's in your mouth can heal over in a matter of days in some cases, or hours with other people. It is a piercing where you pretty much have to leave that jewelry in until it's completely, or until you're done with it. Number 4, swelling. Yes, this piercing, like all oral piercings, will swell. Diet can affect that, smoking can affect that, and all those things that may agitate it can affect it. So you'll have some little bit of lifestyle changes while it goes through that initial swelling period, which can last with some people a couple days, some people up to a week. And the last one, number 5, this piercing can greatly limit employment. It is not something that's easy to hide. People are going to notice it right off the bat. It's on your upper lip. It's not going to be something that you can just magically make disappear. Even after the piercing heals, there is going to be scar tissue there. So people are going to be able to know whether or not you've had this piercing in the past. If you're going into a very conservative field for employment or career, it may affect your ability to get hired. So you should always consider that before getting a piercing, even if you're not planning to going into the job market till years later. With the pros and the cons out of the way, let's move on to the consultation. What would I say to you if you came into my studio and said, hey, Devo, I want to get a Medusa piercing? The first thing I'm going to tell you is that the average healing time is roughly 8 to 12 weeks, during which time, for the full 8 weeks minimum, I'm going to suggest doing compresses with sterile saline spray twice daily for 5 to 10 minutes, cleaning off the area with an antimicrobial or germicidal soap anytime that you feel like you've contaminated it. For the first 2 weeks, I'm going to suggest rinsing with a alcohol-free antiseptic mouthwash roughly 2 to 3 times a day, and also doing warm saltwater rinses with warm water and sea salt for roughly about 5 to 10 minutes. And that's only for the first 2 weeks. Then I'm going to talk to you about swelling. Swelling occurs usually with lip piercings. It usually doesn't show up till a day or two into the healing process. To reduce the amount of swelling you want to cut down your intake of tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, hot and spicy foods, vaping, things that are extremely warm in temperature, or anything that may agitate your mouth. Think back to when the last time you bit the side of your cheek or bit a lip. What hurt to eat, and stay away from that stuff. Also, things that are high in sodium will lead to additional swelling. Food-wise, it's not as intrusive as, say, a tongue piercing would be, but you do want to kind of stick with a simplistic food or diet at first to see what you can handle. Because you get an excuse to raid the freezer and eat a lot of cold treats. Cold items are always going to help with swelling. Also, baby food, applesauce, and I really, really suggest yogurt. Not only because it's good for you, keeps those probiotics in your system and working on the GI tract, but also because you are rinsing a little bit more than you normally would, it cuts down the likelihood of thrush. So yogurt, put a little bit of granola in there. It's really satisfying. Cross-contamination prevention. Common sense things. Wash your hands before you handle it. No oral contact or exchanging of bodily fluids on or around the piercing until it is completely healed. Understand that you are more susceptible to STDs during oral sex, so if you switch partners, practice safe sex the way you're supposed to. Keep your environment clean. Clothing, bedding, towels, anything that may come in contact with the piercing. Do not submerge the piercing in bodies of water you cannot control the quality of, which is pretty much everything but your own clean bathtub. That means no swimming for at least 2 months. None. Nope. Don't care if it's filled with unicorn urine, you can't swim. Sorry. Actually, that sounded kind of disgusting. Angel tears. That's one of my favorites. Yeah. Additionally, you do not want to share food items or utensils with other people. Make sure that your own utensils are cleaned on a regular basis. It's a good idea to start out with a fresh toothbrush and store your toothbrush outside of the bathroom or in an airtight container, or both, outside of the bathroom and in an airtight container. The last thing is avoid sticking unclean objects in your mouth. Things like dirty fingers, of course, pen caps, toothpicks, etc. Do not put them in your mouth while the piercing is healing. Additionally, you want to avoid any type of cosmetics, especially foundation makeups, in the area until it is completely healed. They can work their way into the piercing and cause a whole load of issues that are ugly, painful, and hard to get rid of. Additionally, if you use anything that comes out of a spray can or squirt bottle in your hair, you want to shield it with folded paper towel. One other thing with the cross-contamination prevention that I forgot to mention, keep your pets away from it and don't let those little furry creatures into your bed until it is completely healed. They do tend to contaminate everything they come in contact with. After doing the consultation initially, and going through all that, I would bring you back. We would look at the jewelry selection. I would look at the anatomy and probably make you make a bunch of funny faces to see where it's going to fit best, in my opinion, and whether or not you're going to have issues with it. Every piercer has a slightly different way of going about this. Some people go through all the paperwork and then do that, but it is something to consider that it needs to fit to your face. One final thing as far as consultation is nobody's face has a perfect line that goes from your widow's peak area straight down your nose, through each of the gaps in your teeth to the center of your chin. We usually are kind of a little bit like this or a little bit like this or what have you. So when looking at marking, I generally suggest look at it up close and then look at it at arm's length. Normal people see you from this far away. People who have problems with personal space and possibly are schizophrenic will see you from this distance. Close talkers. So I think that's pretty much everything I can tell you on a Medusa piercing today. I hope that you found the video informative. I hope that you found it entertaining. And if you did so, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos on body piercing and tattooing with a focus on education, hit the subscription button and click that bell so you're notified every single time we post something. We recently added a new store. It's still growing. There's a lot of more designs to come, but I do suggest checking out our merch store, not only to support us, but also to look stylish, because we want you to look stylish. If you have a question, or if you feel like I didn't cover something, or you have something to add to the conversation, please leave a comment. I do answer them whenever I have time, and other people do too. But the idea here is to start a community where we can share good information. Lastly, I hope all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see if your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Go out there, do something, achieve something. Just get started. Have fun.